The first pick on my list is Desperado by Robert Rodriguez. He started from very humble beginnings, making this little scrappy action movie called El Mariachi in the early 90s. He just made it for a few $1,000s, was like a one-man film crew, basically made this entire thing on his own. It was a hit at Sundance, and it became a big success and launched him on this career. Now he's like a one-man industry. He's got his own studio, he's got his own effects facility, he's got his own cable network. And
wait, he does?
Yeah.
What's his cable network?
El Rey.
Oh, El Rey.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
him. He owns that, yeah.
Okay.
I actually wanted to talk about El Mariachi, but I wasn't able to rewatch it in time, and it had been years since I had seen it. But I decided to go with Desperado. This was one I was able to revisit in time for the show, and it's one I've actually always been a fan of. Desperado's kind of always had a special place in my heart. I think I saw it at just the right time. I was like 15, 16 years old, and it's one of those movies that, yeah, it plays really, really well for a teenager. It's one of those movies like Army of Darkness, you know?
Oh, of course.
Which I also saw about the same age and blew my mind. And actually another Robert Rodriguez movie, Sin City, plays the same way. Oh, he
did that?
Yeah, he did do Sin City.
Oh, that's cool. I've never seen that one, but it always looked neat.
I think still to this day, Sin City is one of the best comic book movies ever made, because it's one of the few that actually feels like a comic book brought to life. But anyways, Desperado. So it's the sequel to El Mariachi. It follows the same character, the mariachi. He is a gunslinger with a guitar case full of weapons. He comes into this little Mexican town at the beginning of the movie. He's
Santa Cecilia.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's why I kept making all those Coco jokes when we were watching it. Did you not?
Oh, no, I didn't catch that.
He's like a little kid that he gives the guitar to and is giving lessons, and I'm like, it's the kid from Coco. And you're like,
I totally missed that.
It's
I'm
because
sorry.
the town is called Santa Cecilia, which is the same name of the town in Coco.
Okay, well, I'm learning that for the first time now.
I
sorry.
said it when we were watching. It's fine.
It just
It's
went
fine.
by me.
It's fine.
But yeah, so the mariachi comes in. He's looking for El Bucho and is trying to avenge the death of the woman he loved. It's very over the top. It's very stylized. It's got a sort of exuberant, youthful energy to it. Rodriguez was still only like 24, 25 when he made it. He was still very young. The thing about doing an action movie that I think a lot of directors don't quite nail is the variety. Like, action, I think, can get very repetitive very fast.
I agree.
Yeah, if you don't know how to give it some variety, if it's just the same thing over and over again, it gets really boring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Robert Rodriguez really has a gift for invention, of knowing how to keep a lot of variety in his action sequences. The first action sequence we get is like this, in the form of this bar story told by Steve Buscemi.
And it's a great intro.
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
fun.
It kind of builds up the mariachi as like this supernatural figure. And then when he actually shows up later, he's like a little clumsier and more bumbling. Like, he's still a superhero, but he's a superhero that doesn't quite get everything right.
He's getting it together. He's not like at his apex or anything.
Yeah, it's always on the verge of falling apart for him, but he always manages to improvise his way out of it.
Yeah.
And so I like that chaotic feeling that comes into the second major action sequence when he actually shows up at the bar in person and is trying to get in and out without a bloodbath, but it just gets out of control and he ends up, having to shoot his way out.
Yeah, even though he was specifically instructed not to make it a bloodbath.
Yes.
By Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. There's a great sense of humor to it. It's not really taking itself too seriously. Robert Rodriguez very rarely takes himself seriously. That's another thing that can be really tricky to pull off. I feel like the thing that a lot of directors often get wrong with that type of movie is they try too hard to signal to the audience that it's supposed to be funny.
Oh, yeah.
No. And it bugs the hell out of me every time that happens. And that's another thing I really like about Desperado is it's a very funny movie. It's clearly a comedy from the beginning, but it never overly signals to you that it's supposed to be funny. Everybody tries to play it very straight, especially Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. I think they hit the perfect tone for this because it takes a certain kind of intelligence to play a dumb movie. you can't signal too hard that you're in on the joke, but you have to be in on the joke. And so you have to hit a very specific like tone in the performance where it looks like you're playing it very straight, but really you're hitting the comedy and going for the laughs. And that's what Banderas and Salma Hayek both do in this. And I think they play off each other really well. They actually have a lot of chemistry. There's a pretty good, engaging love story there. And they're really funny together.
Yeah, I love the scene where she's taking the bullet out of his arm.
Yeah, and she's just going off of like a,
just like
a book.
Yeah.
Just a little diagram.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't worry. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, lucky for her, there really isn't anything important in the arm. No important arteries or muscles. So she can just kind of dig around there, whatever.
Yeah. And I should mention too, for Robert Rodriguez, something that makes him, I think, really special as a Latin artist, he has made it a priority throughout his career to use his success as a way of opening doors and providing work for other Latin artists. And that actually started in Desperado. He wanted Salma Hayek for the lead role, and she'd never been in an American film, or at least never the lead in an American film. And the studio actually initially told him he couldn't hire her because Mexican actresses, you know, didn't get the leads in movies like this. That's actually what they told him. But he just disregarded them and hired her anyway, and that launched her career. And that's kind of been what he's continued doing throughout his career, really making it a priority to make sure he's giving work to other Latin artists and opening doors with his success.
It's the way to be. It's the ideal. It's what we're all supposed to do.
Yeah.